Hi, friends. I'm so glad you're here. Let's talk about what the heck you can do for your itchy pet. So, this one is for you if you've got a dog or a cat who just won't stop scratching or licking or chewing at their paws or shaking their head or rippling their skin. And you've been to the vet maybe more than once. And now you're stuck on a cycle of Apoquel or Cytopoint or prednisone and still not getting the lasting relief you anticipated for your little furry friend. Itching is not a diagnosis, it's a signal. Your pet's body is trying to tell you something, and that message is coming from deep inside, not from the skin itself. The skin is not the problem. The skin is the messenger. And until we stop chasing what's happening on the surface and start asking why the body can't finish its job, why it can't complete the shutdown and repair cycle it's designed to do, the itch is going to keep winning. So let's talk about the medications because I know that's where most of you are right now. Apoquel, Cytopoint, prednisone, they all do one thing really well. They silence the alarm. But silencing the alarm is not the same as putting out the fire. The fire is still burning underneath. What these drugs do is they interrupt the itch signal. Your pet stops scratching and it feels like a win. And I understand the relief, I really do. But the inflammatory loop that's actually driving everything is still running in the background, completely untouched. And that's exactly why the moment you stop these medications, the itch comes roaring back, often worse than before, because the underlying imbalance was never addressed in the first place. Staying on these drugs over time carries real consequences: increased susceptibility to infections, stress on the organs, disruption of the gut microbiome, and suppressed immune surveillance, meaning the immune system gets worse at doing its actual job. So, my goal today is not to tell you to throw these medications out the window. For some pets, they're a necessary bridge. I'm all about comfort. We do not want our pets suffering. The goal is to understand what they can't do, what these medications cannot do, and then build a plan that actually addresses the root cause, the real root cause. So, what's actually happening under this crazy skin problem? Here's the thing about inflammation that nobody explains. Inflammation is supposed to have an ending. The body ramps up, deals with the problem, and then it actively shuts itself down and moves into repair. That's a healthy cycle. But in a chronically itchy pet, that shutdown phase never completes. The body gets stuck in a loop. Respond, damage, respond again, damage again, around and around and around. This is not always an allergy problem. In many cases, it's an unresolved inflammation problem. And that distinction changes everything about what you do next. There are three drivers working together here, and they overlap. The first is body-wide inflammation. Think of it as the body's internal fire. It's supposed to turn on, do its job to kick out whatever is bothering it, and then turn off. In chronically itchy pets, it turns on, but it can't complete the shutdown. The second is immune dysregulation. Number 2. A healthy immune system knows the difference between a real threat and a harmless one. In a reactive pet, The immune system has lost that discernment. It starts treating normal everyday things, food proteins, pollen, grass, like enemies. So now you've got an immune system constantly overreacting to things it should simply ignore. The third is triggers. These are the things that tip an already overloaded system over the edge. Food sensitivities, environmental allergens like pollen, mold, dust mites, household chemicals, lawn products. But here's what's so important. Triggers are not always the root cause. A pet with a calm, well-regulated immune system can often be exposed to the exact same triggers and have no reaction at all. It's the combination of a reactive system plus a trigger that creates the flare. So you remove one trigger and you might get temporary relief, but address all three drivers together. The system stops overreacting in the first place, and that's the difference. So let's go through 9 steps to ditch the itch. Step 1, food. This is non-negotiable. It's the foundation that everything else works on. Kibble and ultra-processed canned food are made under extremely high heat, and that process creates compounds called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. These drive oxidative stress and pour fuel directly on the inflammatory loop. It's like throwing gasoline on the fire. On top of that, the high starch content in these foods that gives it its form, they have to use starch to form the kibble or form the loaf, feeds the wrong microbes, throws off the gut ecosystem, and keeps blood sugar spiking, which produces more free radicals that deplete the very calming signals the body needs to shut inflammation down. Dogs and cats are biologically built to run on protein and fat, not carbohydrates. So we switch to a species-appropriate fresh food diet, high in protein, low in starchy carbs, minimal synthetic additives. You cannot supplement your way out of a bad diet. This is the foundation everything else is built on. Step number 2. We need to balance the gut microbiome. This is really important because 70 to 80% of the immune system lives in the gut, and the gut and the skin are in constant conversation with each other. So when the microbiome gets disrupted, immune signaling shifts, and the skin becomes the outlet for that internal imbalance. A disrupted microbiome weakens the intestinal lining. It drives inflammation and triggers the autoimmune overreaction that we just talked about. So here's a myth I want to bust right now. The absence of diarrhea or GI problems does not mean that the gut is healthy. Leaky gut can exist silently for months with no obvious digestive symptoms at all. The tools here to fix the gut are rotating probiotics, using digestive enzymes on a regular basis, maybe fermented food toppers. And if you want to stop guessing, you can do a gut microbiome test, which will tell you exactly what's going on inside your pet's gut and where to focus and what needs fixing. Let me share a test with you. There's a poop test, a microbiome test. You submit the poop sample from your pet, and they send you the results, and they send the veterinarian the results if you list a veterinarian on there. And it will tell you if your pet's microbiome in the gut is balanced or not, and if it's off balance, what's out of whack, and how to fix it. It's a really simple at-home test. All right, step 3. To get rid of the itch, we need to remove triggers. So we can't out-supplement a pet who's being continuously exposed to the things that are driving the reactions they're having. Food sensitivities are different from food allergies, so they require different testing. Food sensitivities are best tested with saliva. So saliva measures immune activity right at the gut lining and gives you a clear map instead of months of guesswork and elimination diets. And then based on those results, we address the triggers. So we remove the foods that are triggers from their diet. Then we address the environmental triggers. Maybe it's pollen or grass, mold, dust mites, storage mites. So you can maybe consider a home air purifier. And that is pretty important for indoor cats who are breathing the same air every day. Don't forget about the contact triggers. So things that your pets touch or that touch them. Fragrant shampoos, scented detergents, chemical cleaning agents. Remove the top triggers first and give the immune system room to quiet down. Finally quiet down. Step 4, to ditch the itch, is to use itch-relieving herbs and supplements. And a lot of these herbs are also immune modulators. So we start supporting the whole body. We're starting to address inflammation and immune overreaction. Things like fish oil. Fish oil contains EPA and DHA, which reduces inflammatory signaling in the skin. It reduces inflammation all over the body. It supports the skin barrier and helps shift the immune system out of constant reactivity. Quercetin is basically nature's Benadryl. It stabilizes mast cells and reins in excessive histamine release. Nettle blocks histamine receptors naturally. Another herb, skullcap, calms the nervous system component of itch and inflammation. Licorice root gives you that cortisol-like anti-inflammatory action without the side effects of prednisone. So now I want to go one layer deeper, because for a lot of these chronically itchy pets, individual herbs are great, but a well-chosen formula, which is where we put together herbs in a logical way, can be where the real shift happens. In Chinese medicine, we're not just treating the itch. We're looking at the pattern. Is the body dealing with heat, with dampness, like with moist hot spots, with stagnation, where you've got a dark purple or dark red tongue? We match the formula to the pattern the pet has. And that's why these are so powerful when they're chosen correctly. And they can be useless when they're not chosen correctly. So a few you might hear about are sea mouse on, or four marvels. This is one of the classics for what we call damp and heat. So like red, inflamed, greasy, weepy, hot, smelly skin that's worse in humid weather. Sanrentong, or three seeds, also clears that dampness and heat, but it's for pets that are not quite as hot as the ones that need the sea mouse on or 4 marvels. This is actually a common one for cats. Another one I think of is Ching Tong. This one is for deeper, more intense heat. Those really angry, red, inflamed cases where the heat's gone deeper into the system. These guys commonly will break out in hives because the problem is deep inside their body. And then another one I think of is Xiao Chai Hu Tong. This is a harmonizing and immune modulating formula, and it's good for pets that are stuck in that on again, off again chronic case where the body just can't seem to regulate itself. So both Ching Tong, which is called Cool the Blood, and Xiao Chai Hu Tong, which is commonly called Harmonize the Qi, will recalibrate the immune system. So the key to herbal medicine is matching the right formula to your individual pet's pattern. And the wrong formula can actually make things worse. And that tells us something. So if we choose the wrong formula and things get worse, that's information. It's not the end of the world. Then we know that we need to pivot and do the opposite. Same thing happens in conventional medicine. They'll pick an antibiotic, it doesn't work, they pick another one. So this is exactly where you want to bring in a holistic veterinarian who is certified in herbal medicine, like me, that can assess your pet's specific pattern and tell you precisely what they need, or at least get really close. We determine what dose, what combination of herbs, what modification of the herbs we may need. And this is the part of the protocol where professional guidance genuinely pays for itself. Herbs and supplements work best as part of a comprehensive protocol, not in isolation. They're a layer, not a magic bullet. All right, step 5, modulate with mushrooms. I love medicinal mushrooms. They are not immune suppressants like the pharmaceuticals. They're immune modulators. That's a crucial difference. They don't silence the immune system the way Apoquel does. They help it respond appropriately. Reishi is probably the most common mushroom used for allergies. It reduces histamine release and it recalibrates the immune system. So it's really valuable for allergic and reactive pets. Another mushroom, cordyceps, which is called the caterpillar mushroom, supports adrenal and immune function. Other mushrooms we may use are mushrooms like maitake and chaga. And there are products that combine all these, like 5 Defenders. Real Mushrooms has a product called 5 Defenders that has all of these in there. The key with mushrooms is to use products that are made with organic fruiting bodies, the top of the mushroom, not the mycelium, the little root-like guys grown on grain. We want to have verified beta-glucan content, and we want to make sure they're processed properly. We want to make sure they're extracted or processed in water and alcohol. There are a lot of products out there that are not processed at all. They're actually just mushrooms dried and ground up. And these are not medicinal. Those are nutritional. They're great for fiber, but they have no medicinal qualities. So you really have to watch your products. In my consults, I actually look at the products that people are already giving to see if they're actually good. And a lot of the mushroom products are not. So we have to take them off because they're doing nothing and put them on a mushroom product that is actually doing something for the pet. So let me show you my Ditch the Itch allergy supplement bundle. Here is a QR code for that. So you can just scan the QR code And I'll also put the link under this video. But this has reishi mushrooms in there, and some of the other supplements I talked about, like omega-3 fatty acids and quercetin and things like that. So that's a nice bundle of products for allergic skin disease in pets that you can take a peek at. Step 6 is get moving. This one is so underrated and it costs you nothing. Exercise is one of the most powerful tools in chronic skin disease. Regular movement promotes circulation and lymphatic drainage. So it's basically like a liver detox. And it's literally how the body physically clears inflammatory waste. Movement also supports insulin sensitivity, microbial diversity, and the production of anti-inflammatory compounds in the gut. Daily walks, hikes, active play, games with your cat, all reduce cortisol and stress. And cortisol and stress both worsen itch and suppress immune function. So a body that moves is a body that's better equipped to complete that resolution phase of inflammation. Step 7, reduce toxin exposure. Our pets are exposed to more toxins. They're lower to the ground. They groom themselves constantly. They're walking on surfaces with bare feet. Their toxic exposure is significantly higher than ours. Even their food has more toxicity in it, or more toxins in it. And it adds up every single day. So we eliminate what we can: scented detergents, dryer sheets, synthetic candles, chemical air fresheners, conventional cleaning products. Lawn chemicals, including glyphosate, are a big one. They disrupt the gut microbiome, damage the intestinal lining, and add directly to the inflammatory burden. And then you have to evaluate your flea and tick products. Many are neurotoxic. They're chemicals. They poison an insect by poisoning your pet first. So you pile more immune stress onto an already overloaded or overwhelmed system. And every toxin you remove is one less thing the liver and the immune system and the lymphatic system have to manage. Step 8, healthy hydration. This is one of the simplest and cheapest changes you can make. Tap water contains chlorine, fluoride, heavy metals, pharmaceutical residues, which all stress the liver and kidneys. And those are the organs that are responsible for filtering all the inflammatory waste. Chlorine and fluoride also disrupt the gut microbiome, which undermines all the work that you're doing. So switching to filtered water is smart. It supports kidney function, toxin elimination, and gut health all together. Clean hydration is absolutely critical for immune and skin health. A real funny thing is, when I'm at the dog park, I bring a bottle of my filtered water, and I have a little bowl, and I put it by my chair where I sit. And I pour my filtered water in there, and the dogs freaking love it. All the dogs in the dog park come over and drink the filtered water because they know it's good. It tastes better. And then when I run out of the bottled water, if I'm there for a long time, I have to refill my bottle in the little water fountain. And I put the water in my bowl from the water fountain, and I don't have as many dogs coming to visit me. They know it's good. And it tastes better. Step 9 is to reduce stress. That's a significant issue that will worsen skin problems. So chronic stress keeps cortisol elevated, which disrupts gut motility. It reduces digestive enzymes. It shifts the microbiome towards imbalance and actually makes leaky gut worse. So stress in pets doesn't always look dramatic. It can be like an inconsistent routine. They might have separation anxiety. Maybe they have conflicts with other animals in the house. Maybe they're bored because they have no enrichment activities. Maybe they are uncomfortable or painful and we don't realize it, so it's not treated. So with my puppies, Nash and Darla, who are now 18 months, I think now, I adopted Nash first, and Darla would come over for play dates. And they were so bonded and loved each other. And then when Darla left to go back to her foster home, which was actually a few doors down, Nash would start scratching. And I put him on some herbs for what I thought was going on. And I gave him anti-itch shampoos with natural products and, no chemicals and no fragrances. And he got worse when I did that. Like nothing helped. And then when Darla would come back over, he'd be fine. He wouldn't itch and he would be fine. But as soon as she left, he'd itch again. It was so weird. And I was like, well, maybe it's stress. Well, it was. And so what I ended up doing is asking the foster to let me adopt her too, because she had been promised to somebody else. And they said, yeah, we'll make it happen. So now I got two puppies, but they're so happy together and there's no itching because there's no stress. They love each other. All right. So when the nervous system stays stuck in hypervigilance, when it's always worried about what the next thing is that it has to react to, the body spends less time in rest and digest mode. And rest and digest mode is where repair and recalibration happens. So, a calm, predictable environment with enrichment, safe resting places, a consistent routine, their best friends is not a luxury, it's part of the protocol. And for our anxious pets, adaptogenic herbs like ashwagandha can directly support cortisol regulation. And ashwagandha is in the Ditch the Itch allergy bundle because that's part of it. I mean, there's the stress component is part of itching that we have to address if it happens to be there. All right, so where do we start? I know that was a lot. You do not have to overhaul your house. You do not have to do all 9 steps at once. So here's a sample schedule. First, if your pet is eating kibble or canned food, switch the food. Easier said than done with dogs. Cats are not so easy to switch the food on, but start offering new things, new yummy things. And you can kind of do things step by step too. Like if I've got a cat that's a kibble addict, I will step them up to the fresh food. So I will do something like a dehydrated or a freeze-dried kind of a product that's kind of crunchy that resembles kibble. So we can test the waters with that, and then do more and more soft foods till we get to the gently cooked fresh foods. And if you want to go to raw, that's the last thing I try. But I just offer a buffet and try to do things gradually with them. Dogs are a little easier, but you still have to, do a little bit of finagling with dogs to get them to change. And you want to do things gradually anyway. So then after you switch the food, or after you try to switch the food, then you can add probiotics and digestive enzymes. Get that gut a little bit happier. Then maybe run a food sensitivity test. Ooh, do I have a, here we go. I do have a QR code for the food sensitivity test. So this way you can figure out what your pet is sensitive to and remove those triggers. All right, and next, add some fish oil, maybe some quercetin. There's actually a product in the Ditch the Itch supplement bundle that has quercetin in it and reishi. It's the Now Pet Allergy. So check out the products in there. There's some nice ones that could help a lot. Maybe then you could layer on some mushrooms, some medicinal mushrooms, like the reishi mushrooms or the 5 defenders, which has a lot of different mushrooms in there. And then, start cleaning up the home environment, and maybe start filtering your water. Start getting rid of the fragrance detergents and switch to a fragrance-free natural detergent. Maybe get rid of the Febreze air fresheners and use essential oils in a diffuser. There are swaps that you can do that are not that hard and just takes a little bit of thought. But it makes a big difference, and it actually will make a big difference in your health too, because a lot of those things, actually all of those things, are toxic to us too, and they are hormone disruptors for us and our pets, which is another conversation. The gut and the skin do not change overnight, so don't give up at week 1. It takes a long time, especially if your pet is older and they've been on, some questionable things for a long time. It takes a while, and it even takes a while in a youngster, but it's doable. It helps to track your progress so you can actually see the improvement or the lack of improvement. So take photos of your pet and your pet's skin. Give your pet a daily itch score on a scale of 1 to 10 and keep it in a log. Maybe log what the ears look like, what the poop looks like, their energy, and also note what you're feeding, what supplements they're on, what medications they're on, if they're on pharmaceuticals. Like, mark down everything that you can think of, and then you can look at the trends. Progress is rarely perfectly straight, but we look at trends over time, and that tells the real story. We want to see the itching slowly decrease and flares be less frequent and last shorter time frames. And that's what you'll see initially when you make all these changes. You'll still see your pet's skin flaring, but it may not be as severe. It may take a shorter time to resolve, and they may be not as frequent. And that's a freaking win. So bottom line, the skin is not the problem. It's the last thing to show up and the last thing to clear, because it sits downstream of everything else going on in the body. So when you lower that inflammatory load and support the gut, calm the immune system, reduce toxic exposure, something happens. The body stops overreacting, not because we forced it to be quiet, but because it finally has what it needs to complete that resolution phase. It gets inflamed from a threat, and then it resolves itself. It heals. So the flares become less intense. Recovery time gets shorter. There are good weeks and they start to outnumber the bad ones. That's what rebuilding immune tolerance actually looks like. So here's what to do next. Check out the Ditch the Itch online program. And if your pet is really complex and you've tried all these things, I have another option for you. But let me show you. Let me see if I can find my Ditch the Itch. Oh my goodness. Ditch the Itch. Holy moly. I don't even see my Ditch the Itch program. I'm trying to find a QR code for you. I will put it underneath the video, but I'd love to show you a freaking QR code because that's so fun. Let's see. Cat. Here's my, okay, I don't even have it. Okay, so if you go to www.ditchtheitchdiy.com, it'll take you to my program. Maybe I should just give you a freebie. Let's see. Here's a Ditch the Itch blueprint. This is a free guide with a lot of the things we talked about already today. So you can grab this free guide with this QR code. And if you want to check out my online program, it's at ditchtheitchdiy.com. Okay. So, I talk to a lot of pet parents that have really itchy pets. And I have some of them that have done a lot of this already. Like they've gotten rid of all the toxins, the pet's on fresh food, they're doing supplements, and they're just not getting anywhere. And my job when I do a telehealth consult is to figure out an action plan, like figure out what's already been done, what worked, what didn't work, what's missing, maybe some tests that haven't been done that would help. So I put together an action plan of tests that can be done to figure out what's going on more specifically, and the herbs and supplements that I would use. I'll recommend specific diets that could help, and also lifestyle strategies. So that's my consult. Let me see if I can find that. Goodness gracious, I've got a lot of these QR codes. Oh, there's the consult. All right, so this is the telehealth consultation where I do a detailed record review, put together an action plan. We talk on Zoom for like an hour, and then you get 30 days of email support afterwards. So we can tweak things, we can figure out if you're having issues and resolve them before they're a problem, figure out how to give medications or how to change the diet on your pet. Like just figure out all the details, because this is not easy. It's not, but it's doable. And hopefully it will be easier once you see the steps. I mean, when we take it step by step and just take it one thing at a time, it becomes easier, even though it's this big issue that your pet may have had for a long, long time. And it's frustrating. I know how frustrating it is. All right. So thank you so much for being here. Thanks for listening. And I will see you next week.